What up, meal prepsters? It's Bobby, and last week I asked you what kind of meal prep y'all want to see today. Vegetarian meal prep or snack meal prep? And oh my gosh, the votes were off the charts and the response was so overwhelming. I'm doing both. Today we're doing vegetarian meal prep. Next week it's going to be snack meal prep. But right now I'm taking vegetables to a level of flavor you ain't ever seen before because we are doing vegetable meal prep for the week with my cauliflower steaks. Thick cut cauliflower, spice crusted and served with a Greek yogurt roasted garlic dipping sauce. A smooth and creamy butternut squash puree with nutmeg and maple syrup, and a charred corn and crispy sugar snap pea salad that is off the charts. So if you guys love my videos and want to join the Flav City community, subscribe to my channel. New meal preps hooking up all my meal prepsters around the world every Friday morning. In front of me, I have 2 heads of white cauliflower. 2 heads of white cauliflower in front of me. So to make them into steaks, I'm gonna sacrifice this section or the end section of the cauliflower and just cut it off. And then rotate around and do the same thing on the other side. And the reason why I'm doing this is this doesn't have the root attached to it. So later on when I cook it in the oven and in the pan, it's gonna fall apart. So then go ahead and measure about 1.5 inches and just cut straight down. Just like that. And then cut one more. That's a perfectly thick steak. It has the root attached. And then I need 5 total steaks, so I'm gonna cut the other one just like I cut this one. When we roast them and sear them later on, they're gonna get caramelized, full of flavor, and crazy juicy. Now, if I'm making steaks, I'm making meat, what is Bobby gonna do? He's making a spice rub. Shocker alert. So let's push these guys to the side. In front of me, I have 1 teaspoon of ancho chili powder. I love this stuff because it's not really spicy. It's more earthy and fruity. To that, I'm gonna add the dynamic duo of spices, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika and 1 teaspoon of cumin. You guys know I'm pretty much a smoked paprika-aholic at this point. It's smoky and earthy, and the cumin is nice and fruity and citrusy. Add that to the ancho chili, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme. Now this is such an easy spice rub, but it's gonna add crazy amount of flavor. And by the way, now would be a good time to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. Hit the cauliflower with a drizzle of olive oil, and then use your hand just to rub it all around. The oil is gonna help the spices stick to it later on. And then give a generous pinch of salt all over the top side, and then a nice pinch of spice rub all over. And then just rub the spice into the cauliflower. And then flip these guys over and hit them with a little more oil, salt, and spice rub. Now pop these guys in the oven at 450 for 15 minutes exactly. While our beefy steak is in the oven, let's make my roasted garlic Greek yogurt sauce that goes so perfectly with this steak. I'm gonna start by adding 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley to a bowl. And methinks I see a lemon in front of me, so you know I'm gonna zest it because I always say I'm obsessed with zest, but somebody last week left a comment that said I'm obsessed, which is the best hashtag ever. I'm gonna buy a shirt and put that on there. So go ahead and add the zest of 1 lemon to a bowl, and then the juice of 1/2 lemon. And by the way, if you have a birthday coming up or have a foodie friend with a birthday coming up, like the lemon juicer and the lemon zester together are the best present ever. If you want the links, I'll put them below. They're in the description box over on Amazon. Now this, my friends, is roasted garlic. If you've never done this at home, get on that ASAP because all the garlic becomes sweet and jammy. You make it by chopping off the lower third of a head of garlic and then seasoning it with a little shot of olive oil, a small pinch of salt, then wrap it up in a tinfoil pouch. Add a small shot of water, seal the pouch, and then put it in a 350-degree oven for 45 minutes. And then what I like to do is just take the head and squeeze it and allow about 4 or 5 of these garlic cloves to fall in there. That's the easiest way to get them out. Add a shot of olive oil, a small pinch of salt, a couple cracks of pepper, and then mix it all up and try to smash the garlic so it kind of gets incorporated into the oil and the juice. So this is our base flavor, tons of really good stuff going on in there. Now is the time I'm gonna reach for some Greek yogurt and spoon about 1/4 cup in there. And then mix it all up. Now if you're making a steak, you need a sauce. Instead of making something like a blue cheese sauce or something really fatty and rich, this is looking really money. Nice and light, lots of protein from the Greek yogurt. We have to do a little bit of quality control. Those flavors are popping. The Greek yogurt is tangy. Roasted garlic is sweet and jammy. That on top of our steak later on, good stuff. All right, you guys, it's been 15 minutes and check out the cauliflower. Already those spices are getting down deep into the cauliflower. Let's move this guy aside for now. And we can make my butternut squash puree. It might have the texture of baby food, but baby Bobby likey. He likey a lot. I've got one medium-sized butternut squash here that I chopped up a few minutes ago. Now these little buggers can be tough to chop, so what I like to do is put my knife in and then use a rolling pin to guide the knife all the way through, because that's always the hardest cut. And then it has a really tough skin, so use your knife and apply some pressure and just peel off the skin, and then just chop it into large bite-sized pieces. Now before I add these to a pot of water, I'm gonna season that water with a good pinch of salt, because it's the only time you could actually season the squash while it cooks. And then carefully add this to the boiling water. I don't know how I'm gonna do it carefully, so just try not to burn yourself. There we go. I'm gonna bring that to a boil and cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's nice and tender. And when I put a fork in, it goes in and out very easily. It took 15 minutes exactly. I just strained this guy over the sink, making sure to get rid of all the water. Now dump it into the carafe of a blender. And it's actually important to season this locomotive of steaming deliciousness while it's hot. That way all the stuff we're putting in it really gets absorbed into the butternut squash, because if you wait for it to cool down, it won't have the same flavor. So I'm gonna tip in about a tablespoon of maple syrup. And please use the real deal. Don't be using no Aunt Jemima stuff here, only the good stuff. And then I'm adding 1 tablespoon of clarified butter, AKA ghee. Now you could also use coconut oil, or if you wanna make this stuff, it's like liquid gold. I have the recipe down below. It's nutty, it's earthy, and this stuff is legit. I'm gonna add the zest of about 1/3 of an orange, because orange and butternut squash are BFF. And once again, obsessed. It's kind of growing on me. And then go in with about 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, that whole heat and sweet thing together. I love that. And then 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. I love putting that kind of dessert spices and savory applications. It's so tasty. And then sticking with the dessert spices, I have fresh nutmeg. I'm gonna grate in just a little bit. You can buy the pre-ground stuff, but when you buy the fresh nut like this and then grate it on my favorite tool, the microplane grater, it has so much more flavor, so definitely try to find these guys. And last but not least, about 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a couple cracks of pepper. So slap the lid on this bad boy, and then my blender has this plunging attachment, and it works great when you're making purees or sauces. And look how creamy that is. I love it. It's all the water that it retained during the cooking process. No need to add anything. Here comes the airplane, open wide. It's good. It's actually really good. Baby Bobby's done, because it's crazy creamy, it's a little spicy, it's a little sweet, and I love that texture. Let's push that aside and get on to searing our big boy steaks. Now to make these steaks the crustiest ones this side of the Mississippi, I'm preheating a large cast iron pan over medium-high heat. I'm gonna add some veggie oil to this pan right about now, about 1 tablespoon, but I'm not using olive oil. Let's see how well you've been taking Flay City notes, and leave a comment below. Let me know why I'm not using olive oil in this application for searing steaks. So use a spatula and carefully get the cauliflower steak on and put it in the hot pan. Perfect. That's what you want to hear. The pan is preheated. We're making that crust immediately. I'm gonna go in with 1 more of these steaks. All right, so I'm actually using 2 pans because there's not enough room in one. But also these guys are cooked already. So we're literally gonna sear them for 2 minutes on each side and wait until you see what they look like. But if you guys follow me on the Flay City Snapchat or Instagram stories, you could always get a sneak peek of what I'm gonna make every Friday here on YouTube. Let's give these guys a flip. It's been 3 minutes. Perfect. That's what you wanna see. That is crustification. We'll give it 3 more minutes and then they're done. Let's grab the last 2 out of the pan. Now the last thing we have to do before I devour this is make my charred corn and sugar snap pea salad. It is so awesome and a perfect way to cap off our vegetarian feast of the ages. This is how you do it. Add 2 teaspoons of veggie oil to a hot cast iron pan. Then add 2 cups of frozen corn kernels and cook them for about 7 minutes until they're charred and brown. And then add some red onions that have been finely diced, along with 2 cloves of garlic that have been minced. Add a pinch of salt, a couple cracks of black pepper, Cook that for a couple minutes and then add everything to a large bowl. Now add 2 cups of sliced sugar snap peas, half of a red bell pepper that's been diced, 2 tablespoons of chopped and toasted almonds, a big old pinch of freshly chopped parsley. Then add the zest and juice of 1 lemon, a nice pinch of salt, a couple cracks of black pepper, and then 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Give it a mix up and you're done. Can you guys hear that? This is a symphony of texture. It is poppin', it is crunchy. That corn is sweet and charred. The almonds are super crispy. I've got my glass meal prep containers, which I love. If you guys want these also, I'll put a link down in the description box, and check out this buffet in front of me. Do me a favor, when you make this, tag me on social media with a pic, because I love seeing all the meal preps you guys create. I'm gonna grab a cauliflower steak, and then I'm cutting out the stem because that's really tough to eat. Then tuck it here in the corner of the container. Then grab a big old scoop of salad, put that in the container too. And last but not least, some butternut squash puree. I think I have to sneak a little piece of this steak here, and then dip it in the roasted garlic yogurt. You guys, honestly, it's steaky, it's meaty, it's crunchified, and that rub is adding so much flavor. Now, when it comes to storing this deliciousness, the cauliflower and the puree can be frozen for 2 to 3 months, or it can stay in the fridge for all 5 days. When it comes time to reheat it, either pop it in the microwave, but cover the top of the container with a very wet paper towel, and that'll keep it super moist. But what I much prefer to do is cover the container after you take the lid off in tin foil and pop it in a 400-degree oven for 15 minutes. I much prefer that over the microwave. Now the salad cannot be frozen, but it will keep in the fridge for 5 days, no problem. That's it, you guys. The recipe is below in the description box. You know you want it, so go get it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for new meal preps every Friday, and next week I'm hooking you up with snack meal prep. If you want to see some more awesome, healthy, and tasty meal preps, check out the videos below me. But I will see you next week. Until then, hashtag keep on cooking. Peace.